Good morning, YouTube. Well, it's kind of a dreary day here in Texas today. We have a little over 50% chance of rain, and it's just overcast and yuck. And I've been getting over all this sinus infection stuff that comes with spring, I guess. So anyway, this morning I was actually organizing all of my items to make some little pouches that I saw featured by Happy Scrappy on Instagram. This is her Instagram page, and she makes these amazing little vellum pouches, very simple, with just white stamping, white embossing, and sequins right in the middle of those pouches. And they are so cute. She makes a variety of different ones. So I really wanted to incorporate something like that into my Project Life. But my problem is my Project Life pages are one-sided, and the other side is usually a totally different layout. So I didn't want to have necessarily a full vellum pocket in there because the other side will be probably something totally different for the next layout. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to back my vellum pockets with a Project Life card. So it'll be a Project Life card with vellum with sewing and sequins in the middle. And since I'm working with a lot of the Dear Lizzy collections, I have this Dear Lizzy stamp here that goes with the Daydreamer collection. And I thought it would be cute just to have a very simple layout and just put one stamp in the middle of a 3x4 journaling card that's filled with sequins. So that's what I'm planning to do today. I did pull out a couple of other stamps that I had if I decide to maybe do one with the months or the days of the week. I also have this Dear Lizzy one from the Neapolitan collection. It's the mason jar. And I also have this one, Come Fly Away With Me. Talking about the mason jar, it was so funny. As I was setting all of this up to start taking this take for the video, I got flashed on my Facebook. So let me flip over to Facebook real quick and show you what popped up. There's a lady here named Tracy Davis, and she posted on Genuine Challenges group on Facebook. This is run by Jennifer Ruiz, so check out Genuine Challenges. She posts a challenge every couple weeks. I know she's going to be doing more from April. But Tracy posted these mason jars with sequins in them, and they are so adorable. So her blog is right there, so you can pause the video if you need to type in her blog, and that will give you the instructions on how she made these Dear Lizzy Neapolitan jars with clear acetate on the outside and sequins on the inside. So those are really cute. So it helped me keep my mojo up and make sure to get these pockets done today. So here we go. So the first step here is some basic math. I know I want 4x3 journaling cards. So I'm just writing on top of the clear packaging of the vellum here. Now these papers are 8.5 by 11. So I know I can get 2 journaling cards across per page for sure. And then I'll end up with a slight sliver on this side right here. Sorry, that's not really proportional, but that will be 4 inches tall. So that's 4 inches. And that's 4 inches. So now this way, I want to go 3 inches, if that makes any sense. So this way, these on this width will be 3 inches. So you end up with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, you end up with a slight sliver left at the bottom. Okay? So that's how you end up with 4x3 cards. So they will be 4 inches wide and 3 inches tall, and then I can rotate them. So this way I can get 6 vellum cuts out of 1 sheet of vellum. So if this doesn't make sense of it being in here, there we go, 4 inches, 4 inches. You end up with 1/2 inch on this side, so that gives you your 8.5 inches. Down here it's 3 inches, 3 inches, 3 inches, and so that's 9, and then you end up with 2 inches on the bottom. So all of that equals your 11. So that's how you have an 8.5 by 11, and you can get 6 cards out of an 8.5 by 11. Okay, so one more time, from one sheet of 8.5 by 11, you can get 6 Project Life cards that are 4 by 3. This is the little bit of scrap that you end up with, which is still great because these little slivers are again the perfect size for Project Life. So you can cut these into little banners. You can stamp on them with your little roller stamps, on your roller stamps with stays on, and these make great little overlays to put onto your Project Life cards. So don't throw these away. Go ahead and save them. And if you want to make some little accent pieces, you can, for example, take a circle punch or a heart punch or any other shape that you have, and use these little extra pieces that you have and stamp a little sentiment or stamp something from your roller stamps onto these little shapes, and you can use those in your Project Life as well. So the first couple of pouches that I'm going to work on are going to be with these little stamps here. This one's from the Neapolitan collection, and this one I think is from the Charmed collection. I think. So one of them will have this balloon with the clouds. The other one is going to have this mason jar with Hello Friend. And so that's been put on my block right here. And to do those, I'm using my mixed media from Donna Salazar. This is the Jasmine ink, and then this is the Jasmine white embossing powder. So I like her embossing powder because it's nice and thick, and that I really want this to stand out really well. Now technically you could use just Versamark and white embossing powder like Happy Scrappy does, but since this is what I have and readily available, I'm going to use these. And if you wanted to make it easy on yourself, you could just go with the inks. Maybe I said this before. You can just change the ink, and you could go with clear embossing powder for all of them. But I really like I think it gives a little bit of extra depth when you use a color embossing powder on top of the color itself. So that's why I like to use the pairing together every now and then. Okay, so the next stamp I'm going to be working with is this little girl stamp from, let's see, she looks like that. And it's also the Dear Lizzie Daydreamer collection. And I thought she would look really cute in pink. So I'm going to be using this Donna Salazar combination of the mixed media inks in chiffon. and this one as well. If you like these mixed media inks and you can't find them at your store, many times Blitsy will carry these online at a discounted price. So I'll put that link below, my referral link, I'll put it below, and they have a great deal on these guys. So that's where I picked up all of mine, because my Michaels only had about 4 of those colors. Now I did get a fresh sheet of paper so that I don't mix colors into my jars. The last thing you want is to take an old piece of paper or a pot you were working out of and get white flecks or blue flecks or whatever other color you had been working with. So I always switch to a fresh sheet of paper, especially when I worked with that other one quite a bit and there was white all over it on both sides. So just to make sure, I did get a fresh sheet of paper, and now I'll stamp her up in this pink, and we will put her with the pink embossing powder on top of these vellum sheets. Okay, so now I've matched up the vellum pieces with some Project Life cards. So this stack right here is from the Dear Lizzie Daydreamer collection, and that's where most of these stamps were taken from. So it makes sense as to why so many of these match very well with the Project Life cards. So to fill these little sequin pouches that I made, all I did was took my little pouches of sequins that I got at Michael's, and I just cut the little corner off the tip. So you'll see on these packages, I only cut the corner off. I don't cut the whole top or rip the entire side off. I just take that corner. And then I go in, and with the pouch opening, I have sewn 3 sides, and I left one side open, and that allows me to insert that corner and then just drop in a few sequins. So for this card, I'm only going to add this teal color. I do go with a slightly darker sequins since the vellum kind of mutes the color. You don't have to put that many in. I put in about, I don't know, I guess about 15 or so per pouch. Now, when you initially put it in, it wants to pool in one area. You can kind of jostle it around. I move it around more after I sew and seal the top shut, and then I spread them out more. So here's a few more that already have the sequins in them. This one turned out really pretty. I really like this one as well. So those are the pouches that I'm working on right now. Now the other thing I did with the vellum pieces is I just attached them to the card. Like this one here, I just used my corner rounder. This one is a Making Memories corner rounder that I've had for years. And all I did was take that vellum, round those corners, and use the tiny attacher stapler from Tim Holtz and just stapled that one on there. I had run a stitch line through here, but my bobbin had run out, so it actually kind of leaves a nice little texture on that card as well. This one I'm working on a little bit. Just a side note tip, the embossing powder does not like the foot on the sewing machine, so it started to remove some of that embossing, and that's why I just kind of did a little bit more with the stitching here. I'm probably going to go across with some washi tape on this particular one. So you'll see on these what I did is, again, I rounded the corners and I went ahead and stitched on the sides and away from the embossing so I didn't drag my foot through that embossing. Same thing on the bicycle. I couldn't do the side-by-side pouches with the bicycle because the wheels end up right where the foot of the sewing machine would go, and it would rip up that embossing. So I went ahead and just did it this way. That way I can still add more journaling and layering on the top of that card. I did the same here on this one. This one I decided to go for another effect, and I went diagonal, and I left this one as a rectangle shape. And I did the same on this one. And the cameras, you know, I didn't want to rip them up, so again, I just did a single stitch here, and it allows me to do any layering or other journaling on that card in Project Life. This one I just tried to do the messy stitch a little bit. It turned out pretty good. Again, because I didn't want to get the foot onto any of that embossing. And the last one is another bicycle. So they came out really well, and I'll finish stitching up these pockets and then show those to you again real quick. Okay, so now all the little shaker cards are finished. Here's this camera one. This one is from the Maggie Holmes Flea Market edition. This one was Dear Lizzie Polka Dot Party. This one is, good question. Oh, this is a Daydreamer collection from Dear Lizzie. This one is Daydreamer edition from Dear Lizzie. This is Maggie Holmes, I believe, Flea Market edition. This one is, I believe this one is Daydreamer as well. Dear Lizzie Daydreamer. This is Dear Lizzie Daydreamer. This one is, I think this one is Polka Dot Party, Dear Lizzie. This one is Flea Market Edition, Maggie Holmes. And this one is Flea Market Edition Maggie Holmes. Okay, so there's the little shaker cards. And then here's the other ones just with the layered vellum. So they're really fun to work with. Just a couple of sets of stamps along with your matching Project Life cards and a little bit of sequins with vellum, and you can change up some embellishments for your cards. Thanks for watching.